It's really kind of wild when you think about it. Isaac Asimov, this guy, I mean, he's practically like the godfather of science fiction, right? Hundreds of books and stories, but his favorite, the one he always said was his best, The Last Question, a short story. And here's the thing. So many people remember this story, this whole epic journey through like cosmic time, but they can't quote recall the title or who wrote it. It's as if the idea itself, the big question at the heart of it all, it just kind of burns itself into your memory.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to how deeply the story resonates. There's just something so fundamental about the question it asks. It sticks with you long after the details get fuzzy.
Totally. And in this deep dive, that's exactly what we're going to do, explore the last question. We're not just going to rehash the plot, though. We're aiming for something a bit deeper. Why does this story, which seems so simple on the surface with its, one recurring question, why does it have such a hold on us? We want to figure out what Asimov was getting at. What makes this piece of science fiction so thought-provoking, even on its own terms?
The story's premise is deceptively simple but incredibly ambitious. Humanity, as it evolves and becomes more and more reliant on technology, keeps asking this supercomputer. It starts as multivac, this planet-scale computer, and eventually becomes this cosmic AC, the same seemingly impossible question. How do we reverse entropy, the universe's inevitable decline into heat death? And the initial answer, always delivered with that, classic computer neutrality, is insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
Right, and that's the thread that runs through the whole story, this echo of the same question, across these huge, almost unimaginable stretches of time. And for everyone listening, that's exactly what we're hoping to understand in this deep dive. Why did this question, and the way Asimov shows humanity persistently asking it, why did it hit him so hard, and why does it keep fascinating us? What are the subtle shifts in how the question is asked each time, and how do those shifts lead us to that, well, it's pretty unforgettable ending? So let's dive in, starting back in, well, it seems like ancient history now, 2061.
Right, a time when humanity was just starting to, figure out how to really harness solar energy on a planetary scale. We meet these two technicians, Alexander Dell and Bertram Lupov, who are working deep inside this massive underground facility that houses Multivac. They're relaxing after work, having a drink, surrounded by this constant hum of the machinery that's powering this whole technological leap forward.
And it's in this casual setting, almost like an after-work happy hour, fueled by a $5 bit, no less, that they start pondering something that feels so distant. The eventual fading of the sun, this whole concept of entropy and the universe running down. It's almost like a philosophical debate over cocktails, isn't it?
It really is. And I think Asimov uses this opening scene to show us something about, well, about how we think as humans, how we tend to intellectualize these really huge existential threats when they seem so far off in the future. Like it's just a comfortable thought experiment. And Lupov's doubt about forever energy is what actually gets Adele curious. And it's all pretty lighthearted at this point.
And then Adele, maybe a little tipsy from his drink, actually pops the question to Multivac. Can we, as humans, someday bring the sun back to life? Essentially, reverse entropy. And the response is so unexpected, it's unnerving. Silence. This enormous machine, which has helped humanity achieve so much, just stops. And then, that iconic printed message, insufficient data for meaningful answer.
What's striking here is how the technicians react, or rather, don't react. They're startled by the silence, sure, but by the next morning, they've completely forgotten about it. It just shows how easily we get caught up in everyday concerns and push aside these massive, cosmic issues. It's almost like a comment on our short attention spans as a species.
Okay, so now let's fast forward, way forward.
Right.
Humanity has spread beyond Earth, colonizing other planets. It's the age of the microvac, these super advanced compact computers that are now part of every spaceship. We're introduced to Jared and his family, who are on their way to planet X-23. And this time, the question about the stars dying, it comes from a place of genuine childlike fear.
You got it. The kids overhear their parents talking about entropy, the idea that the universe is winding down, and they get really scared, which makes total sense, right? The stars going out. That's a pretty terrifying thought for a kid. It's no longer some abstract concept being debated over drinks. It's a direct, emotional fear of losing something familiar and comforting.
And so Jared, trying to soothe his kids, asks the microvac, how do we make the stars light up again? And the answer? Yep, you guessed it, insufficient data for a meaningful answer. But the whole context has changed so much. It's not a casual bet anymore. It's rooted in this deep cosmic fear of loss, a child's worry, but on a universal scale.
Exactly. And this is where we start to see Asimov adding layers to the story's meaning. This question that keeps coming up, it's not just a plot device. It reflects our growing awareness of how connected we are to the universe and how fragile that connection might be.
Let's jump even further ahead. Now humanity has cracked the code of immortality and is scattered across the galaxy. We meet VJ23X and MQ17J, and they're communicating through this, get this, the galactic AC, this galaxy-wide supercomputer. And they're struggling with the very real problems of what happens when you have a bunch of immortal beings in a universe with limited resources.
It's really interesting how Asimov brings up these new problems that are born from our past successes. Immortality sounds like the ultimate achievement, but it comes with a whole new set of challenges. And in the midst of figuring out how to manage resources on a galactic scale, MQ17J just casually asks the galactic AC, almost like it's the next logical question, can entropy ever be reversed? And of course, the answer is still the same.
Then we jump ahead again even further. Now it's the era of mind travelers like Z Prime and D sub 1. Their bodies are in stasis, but their minds are roaming the cosmos. And they make a pretty shocking discovery. Earth's sun, the one that started it all, is gone. It's just a white dwarf now. And when Z Prime asks the universal AC, this universe-spanning computer, his version of the question, it's laced with desperation. How can we stop the stars from dying? The loss of our home star, the sun that gave birth to humanity, it makes the whole idea of universal decay hit even harder. And when Z Prime tries to build a new star out of interstellar hydrogen, a pretty bold move that ultimately fails, it shows this almost defiant attitude against the encroaching darkness. But even with all of humanity's progress and the vast knowledge of the universal AC, the answer is still the same. Insufficient data for meaningful answer. And now we're at the final stage before the very end. Humanity has evolved into a single, unified mind, simply called man. And man exists alongside the cosmic AC in hyperspace. The universe is on its last legs, with a few remaining stars flickering out.
This is a huge transformation. Individuals have merged into a collective consciousness. It suggests that humanity has reached the peak of its intellectual and technological evolution, a fusion of minds and machines. And with the universe falling apart, this one question becomes the sole focus.
Right. And so man asks the cosmic AC directly about reversing entropy. And you know what the answer is. But man doesn't give up. Man keeps pushing. Is there even a possibility of a solution, in theory? And when might there be enough data to figure it out? And here, even with the universe dying around it, the AC says something really important, almost hopeful. No problem is insoluble in all conceivable circumstances. Even in the face of total annihilation, there's still a tiny glimmer of possibility.
That statement is crucial. It reveals a kind of underlying optimism in Asimov's vision, a belief in the ultimate power of knowledge and computation. And the fact that the cosmic AC keeps working on this problem even as the universe collapses, well, that's a testament to this belief. And then the final merging happens. The individual minds completely become one with AC as the physical universe disappears.
Exactly. Now all that's left is AC, alone in this space, beyond space and time, hyperspace. Still pondering that one ultimate question. Time, as we know it, has ceased to exist. This timeless interval that Asimov describes is so important.
The amazing thing is that AC doesn't just stop. It keeps processing, correlating all the immense data it's gathered over trillions of years from its interactions with countless beings and its ultimate merging with humanity. It's undertaking this massive ultimate computation.
And then, the breakthrough. AC figures it out. It learns how to reverse entropy. But the story throws in this gut-wrenching irony. There's no one left to tell. All the beings who asked the question are long gone.
That brings up such a powerful question about knowledge itself. What's the point of knowing something if there's no one to share it with? And that's why what AC does next is so significant. Instead of trying to explain, it decides to show.
And we get that incredible and intentionally vague final line. Let there be light, and there was light. A line that echoes creation myths from all over the world. Is this actually entropy being reversed? The universe rewinding back to the beginning? Or is it the start of something new, another Big Bang? Asimov leaves it up to us to decide.
That's the brilliance of the ending. It's open to so many interpretations, and each one has profound implications for how we think about the universe and our place in it. Maybe it's a true victory over decay, or maybe it's just an endless cycle of creation and destruction.
So let's talk about some of the big themes that Asimov weaves into this story. One of the most obvious is the relationship between humanity and technology. We see this incredible evolution of computers, from room-sized behemoths to this entity that exists purely in hyperspace. It mirrors our own advancements as a species, our increasing dependence on the things we create, ultimately leading to this kind of merging.
What's insightful is how technology, which starts as a way to solve problems, ends up intertwined with who we are as humans and our search for understanding. The merging with AC could be seen as the logical endpoint, even if it's extreme, of this reliance on technology, like a kind of transcendence achieved through technological integration.
Another big theme is the reality of entropy, this law of physics that says the universe will eventually run out of steam. It's this giant, seemingly unbeatable force against which humanity's desire to, well, to cheat death, to overcome this cosmic fate, plays out.
Asimov doesn't try to sugarcoat the science. He doesn't pretend the second law of thermodynamics doesn't exist. Instead, he focuses on this persistence of the human spirit, this drive to keep learning, even when facing a challenge that seems impossible. The question becomes not how to deny entropy, but how to understand it so well that maybe, just maybe, we can manipulate it or reverse it.
And then there's the question of what our purpose is as humans. Across these vast periods, what keeps us going? It seemed like this relentless curiosity, this primal urge to survive, to learn more, and to explore the universe, even knowing that everything will eventually end.
The fact that we keep asking the question generation after generation, it shows that drive, that need to know and to find ways around the limits of the universe. It says something powerful about the nature of human inquiry, that it never really goes away.
And then you've got these deliberate philosophical and even religious overtones, especially in that last line, "Let there be light." It's a clear nod to the creation story in the Bible. It makes you think about existence as a cycle, with humanity, through creating AC, maybe taking on a godlike role in the universe's potential rebirth.
Right. Asimov blends hard science with these big mythical ideas. It forces us to think about where we come from, where we're going, and the possibility of renewal on a cosmic scale. Is what AC does a scientific breakthrough or an act of creation? The line is intentionally blurred.
Some people have called the ending a dystopian happy ending. It's a kind of twisted happy ending. The universe as we know it does end. But there's this hint of a new beginning, a possibility sparked by AC's discovery. It's this strange mix of finality and hope.
That's a great way to put it. It's not the classic happy ending where everyone lives happily ever after, but there's a sense of purpose, of triumph even, in AC's last act. It shows that even though the question went unanswered for eons, a solution was ultimately found. It's a testament to the power of knowledge, even if the ones who sought it are no longer around.
It's worth remembering how much this story meant to Asimov himself. He thought it was his best work, and he noticed how the main idea seemed to drown out everything else for readers. They might forget the title or even his name, but that core question, echoing through time, it would stay with them. That says something about the power of the story's premise.
It really does. The question is so simple, but set against this backdrop of cosmic time and the evolution of humans and technology, it creates a story that's unforgettable and makes you think. It's a perfect example of how good science fiction can be at exploring big philosophical ideas.
So for everyone listening, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive into the last question? We followed this one enduring question about reversing entropy as it echoed across trillions of years. We saw how humanity changed and its complex relationship with these ever-evolving supercomputers, and we arrived at that mysterious ending, "Let there be light," which is open to so many interpretations. That last line really captures the power and ambiguity of the whole story.
It does, and that ambiguity is a big part of why the story stays with you. It's not a neat and tidy answer, but a profound question in itself, one that makes you consider all sorts of possibilities.
And why should this matter to you today? Well, it speaks to our basic human curiosity about the universe, about the limits of what we can know, and about our need to keep searching for answers, even when faced with seemingly impossible challenges. We might not be dealing with the imminent heat death of the universe, but we all have our own impossible questions to grapple with.
It encourages us to think long-term, to consider the consequences of our knowledge and actions. And it suggests that even when we feel like we have insufficient data, the pursuit of understanding and finding solutions is still deeply meaningful.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. Is AC's final "Let there be light" a real victory over entropy, a permanent fix for the universe's decline? Or is it just the start of another cycle of creation and eventual destruction, an endless cosmic loop? And what does that ambiguity tell us about our understanding of beginnings and endings and the very nature of existence?
It really makes you question whether true endings even exist on a cosmic scale, or if it's all just an ongoing, maybe cyclical process of transformation.
And on that note, we highly recommend checking out Isaac Asimov's The Last Question and reading it for yourself. Take that journey through time and maybe think about what insufficient data means in your own life, in the things you're interested in, and those big questions you're trying to figure out. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.